This is very, very important. I'm a Nigerian homeless transsexual in danger of being sexually trafficked, just like the P. Diddy case. My case is even as serious or even more serious, and there may be an international an international network of conspirators, and I'm mainly in Manhattan and Brooklyn. So I've been experiencing all kinds of weird events. I'm also the friend to late Eric Garner. So this is how I ended up homeless, and which is encouraging kidnappers and sex traffickers to want to traffic me, possibly for financial gains and any other illicit gains. So this is how my story started that led to the sex trafficking. So please, Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, and the Brooklyn DA take this very serious. I'm the late Eric Garner's friend. Me and my mother used to live on Staten Island, and in 2010, the police raided our home and threw us out, say Bloomberg doesn't want people living in basement apartment without a court order, which is against the law. The United States Supreme Court has ruled against that since 1960s, that the police need a search warrant and an eviction order to search your home and kick you out of your home. They didn't have that. So my mother reported to CCRB. I also reported to CCRB, and I filed the case in court. Brooklyn Federal Court. The receipt number is 13CV5052. As the case was going on, I met with Eric Garner where they killed him, before they killed him, on Bay Street and Victor Boulevard. He told me he was going to help me with my court case to serve the papers to the NYPD. Weeks later, the NYPD went and took Eric Garner dead in 2014. They never let me testify. I was recording Eric Garner as he took the court papers from me. So I believe that they said the NYPD was laughing when they killed him, and he was also saying things about, that the NYPD was harassing him, and it was telling them enough is enough, and they let the killer walk free. The prosecutor in Staten Island didn't let me testify. Even though the Black Lives Matter and people marched from all over the world, but incredibly, they never let me testify, and the killer walked free. So I'm being targeted by sex traffickers because they believe I'm potentially worth a lot of money, and I believe they will want to kidnap me or whatever, or claim to have a baby with me so that the child can inherit money. So this is very serious. So soon after Eric Garner was killed, my mother was complaining that her daughters, Bolani and Flora, they were born here in Brooklyn, but they live in Pennsylvania. So they were monitoring my case online, and they were very jealous that I was going to win millions, and they wanted to become richer than me, and said they were trying to kill her with insurance fraud. File an insurance claim, and they were calling somebody in Nigeria that went to kill my mother also. They were sending gifts to the person in Nigeria. Me and my mother I filed for asylum in 2000 when my mother brought me to the country at 26 Federal Plaza, and me and my mother testified against the people trying to kill me in Nigeria, including my mother also. They were trying to kill her. So my mother said her daughters, Bolani and Flora, were sending gifts to those people in Nigeria. So I believe the USPS, United States Postal Service, they have a computer. If you're sending gifts to anybody, they would weigh your gift and put it inside the computer and tell you to pay a postage fee. And they will enter your zip code, your address here in the United States, and the address in Nigeria. So the USPS, United States Post Office, Pittsburgh office should be subpoenaed to see that my mother's daughters were sending gifts to my mother's killers in Nigeria. So my mother said that our daughters also was poisoning her in Pittsburgh, because after we became homeless in New York, my mother went to Pittsburgh to live. And said that Bolani was giving her like a food laced with car antifreeze poison. So that daughter worked in a hospital. Used to work in the hospital, and both daughters used to work in the hospital. So my mother was feeling sick, so my mother didn't want to go to the Pittsburgh hospital. So my mother got on a Greyhound bus to come to New York to go to the hospital. On the way here, she had a heart attack on the bus. In New Jersey, the bus pulled over. My mother said, no, keep driving to New York, because my mother didn't want our daughters to interfere with the investigation. She wanted to get them caught. She wanted her blood tested for the poison, and she eventually got to New York Port Authority, and she collapsed on the floor. They took her to Bellevue, and she was starting to get better, and the daughters came all the way from Pittsburgh. Even though my mother didn't tell the daughters what hospital she was in, she wanted the hospital to possibly detect any poison they put in her body, and she didn't want them to influence the hospital here in New York. And my mother was so shocked when the daughters came to Bellevue, even though my mother didn't tell the daughters what hospital. So the daughters violated HIPAA law, which says a patient's information is private and nobody has the right, even a family member, to get that information without the patient's permission. So the daughters, according to the daughters, they were calling hospitals around because my mother wouldn't tell them what hospital she was in, and Bellevue Hospital picked up the phone and said, "Yep, your mother is here, come get her," or whatever. So when they got to the hospital, so they told the hospital to lock my mother up in the psych ward, because I put in the court papers that when the police came to take her home in 2010, we told the police we're not going to leave without a court order, and the police said if we don't leave, they're going to lock us up in the psych ward or put us in prison. So I put in the court papers that that my mother, when she heard that we were about to be locked up by the police in the psych ward or in prison, my mother began suffering symptoms of a heart attack. So when my mother said that daughters were reading the court papers in Pennsylvania, even though the court papers was filed in Brooklyn Federal Court, but the case is online. When you file cases in federal court, it's online. And so they were reading it and they were jealous. So they came to the hospital to try to reenact how my mother was suffering a heart problem when the police threatened us with psych lockup. So my mother's daughters told the hospital here in Bellevue to lock my mother up in the psych ward, because the hospital wanted to do surgery, but my mother said her living condition is not so okay, so she would like to travel to Nigeria first, pray over her condition, and possibly do a surgery abroad, because she didn't really like her living condition, because her daughters were poisoning her, and I was homeless here in New York on the street. So she didn't want to do surgery and end up living with the daughters that would be poisoning her. So the daughter said they should lock her up. Even those daughters lied on me that I was crazy, also locked me up in the Pittsburgh hospital. When my mother brought me to America in 2000, then our landlord kicked us out at that time also. So my mother tricked me to come with her to Pittsburgh, that she had something to do. I said, I don't want to live with your daughters. She said, no, you're not going to live with your daughters, because those daughters, they had a problematic childhood. They beat up the white family my mother placed them with, because my mother took them to Nigeria, but they told her they don't like Nigeria, so my mother brought them. I arranged with a white family in Pennsylvania so they could stay with the white family. And within a year of coming to Pennsylvania in 1990, they beat up the white family, broke the bones, so they put them in foster care. So I was scared of my daughters. I said, I don't want to live with them. I'm a transsexual and I don't like violence. So my mother tricked me, because we were staying in a hotel on Staten Island and she was paying $60 a night. She was a home athlete earning like $4 an hour. So she couldn't afford it. So she was like, come with me to Pennsylvania. I'm just going for a quick visit. So I followed her. And when we got there, I was trying to come back with her to New York. I was in the same car with her. And the daughter kicked me out of the car and ran me over with the car and drove my mother to the Greyhound station. And the other daughter called 911 on me. At that time, Diallo had just been killed in 1999. This was 2001. Said I had a weapon. I'm a dangerous African. And the police couldn't really understand my accent. So the Pittsburgh police arrived. They thought they were going to meet a crazy African with a weapon. So they arrested me and took me to the psych ward. So I told them in the Mercy Hospital in Pennsylvania, I told them, I have a court case in New York, because when my mother brought me from Nigeria, there was a problem with my visa. So I was arrested at JFK, and they told me I had to appear in court. So I told the psych ward to let me go. I'm not crazy. So they asked my mother's daughter, is it true I have a court case? And why did she bring me to the hospital and lie to the police? And she told the hospital, I don't have any court case. I'm just crazy thinking I have a court case. So I had to call my lawyer in New York. And my lawyer in New York, DiPietro, his name is DiPietro, and he called the Pittsburgh Hospital, Mercy Hospital, and told them I did have a court case. And instead of the hospital to arrest my mother's daughter for lying on me and getting me medicated in the hospital and stuff, because I was a foreigner, the hospital didn't care about me. They told me, okay, just go back and live with your mother's daughter. And they didn't protect me. I was a victim of human trafficking, but then I ended up coming to New York for my court case, and I never spoke. So I kept away from my mother's daughter until 2015, when my mother was homeless. She went to live with her daughters, and they were poisoning her, trying to kill her, because they didn't want me to make money make millions of dollars because I filed a lawsuit against the NYPD, and my mother said that those were following that court case online, and they were just I was going to make millions of dollars before them. So my mother said they were into insurance fraud. She believes they were into insurance fraud. I don't have any proof, but the court can subpoena, to see if they did file an insurance papers on my mother, and they were poisoning my mother. And my mother fled back to New York while she was with the poison in her, and she had a heart attack when she arrived in New York, and she was in the at the Greyhound station, Port Authority, Terminal 42nd Street in Manhattan, and they took her to Bellevue Hospital. The doctors came from Pennsylvania and told them to lock her up in the psych ward. They feigned mental illness of my mother, So they said my mother died on the way to the psych ward because my mother told them she didn't want to hospital, she won't go to psych ward, and blood pressure rose up, and they believe she may have died of stroke or heart attack. The daughter said they don't want an autopsy because I believe that's consciousness of guilt, because I believe with car antifreeze poison, the poison doesn't show in the blood. They have to after the patient dies, they have to do a cut off the brain and do an autopsy of the brain. They say that's where the current of freeze poison normally hides. So the daughter said they don't want to do an autopsy, and they snatched my mother's body and went and dumped her in New Jersey somewhere. They made sure I wasn't part of the funeral. So now, so I sued Bellevue Hospital. I've been suing. Trump became president, put immigration agents in the hospital. Because I had a history of problem with Trump. I was trying to sue Trump because I used to go to the casino at Trump Plaza in New Jersey. I think it's called Taj Mahal. And I was homeless then and insecure, even though I normally play the casino there. I was just homeless. I was just trying to while away the time, so I would go to the casino. I wasn't really a gambler. I was just whiling away the time because I was homeless then. After the NYPD took my home in 2010, so I would go to New Jersey and just, while away the time in New Jersey. I'm not a gambler, but I would just while away the time in the casino, And so in security, they were racially profiling me, and they banned me. Said I was a lawyer, but I wasn't a lawyer. I used to put money in the casino. So they because of my color, even on my Rosa, a Nigerian American, say Trump uses the word nigger, and even our Sharpton said he doesn't like to rent places to blacks. So I was recording the security officers, and I told them I'm going to sue Trump. I'm going to sue you guys. So I think I was under FBI surveillance because after I got released from immigration prison, I was under FBI surveillance because after 9/11 happened after I came to America, so they were surveilling us foreigners, so I was under FBI surveillance. So I think Trump has friends in the FBI, and they must have warned them, you get ready for a lawsuit. There's this Nigerian that's going to sue you, and I had a tape recorder, and the FBI surveillance was probably picking me up, telling the security, so I'm going to sue you and Trump. So I believe that's why he developed hatred of me, and he almost hit me with his car when it was before my mother died. I was standing in front of his building, and he came in his SUV and tried to hit me with his car. And the FBI surveillance was picking it up. So I was asking people, who's that guy that tried to hit me with his car on Fifth Avenue? Everybody was telling me his name is Trump. I was like, I was like, wow. So this is where he lives. I think I said, I heard that name before, but I really don't know how important it was. I didn't even know he was living in New York, because I know he has a hotel in New Jersey that they banned me from. Then Trump started boasting he could hit somebody with a car and get away with it. It was boasting he could kill somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Then he ran for president as soon as my mother was killed, and started putting immigration officers inside the courthouses in Manhattan, and they were arresting immigrants. So I was afraid of showing up in the courthouse because I didn't want to be arrested. And he called Nigeria a shithole country. I believe he was making reference to the fact that I wanted to sue him. After the NYPD took my home, I was going to his casino, Trump Casino, and I go there to use the bathroom because I have diarrhea. So a security guard profiled me and told me I'm banned from coming there. And I was telling them I'm a customer. I come here to gamble. Also, I'm not really a gambler. I was just trying to while away the time. it was close to 2011, 12. I just removed from my home. I was almost on the streets. I would just go to the hotel. It was cold. I would go to the hotel, the casino, just gamble. I'm not a gambler. I just go gamble just to while away the time. Until I met with Eric Garner, I promised to help in my court papers. He felt sorry for me that I've just been wilding away the time and trying to address my housing situation like that. And he promised to help me within weeks. Then what Petey choked Eric Garner dead. You know. So Trump threw out Eric Garner's case from court when he became president, and some senators said he was calling African countries shithole. So my FBI records is to be pulled. I believe the etymology of him being angry at Africans is because I was using the bathroom in his hotel room, and they kicked me out of his hotel room in New Jersey. And so that's where I got this shit all comment from. And then he's put Nigeria on a travel ban. And when Biden replaced Trump, you know, that's when they lifted Nigeria from the travel ban. And Biden was saying he doesn't know why Trump put Nigeria in the travel ban, that Nigeria's not a problem to the US. So I'm going to get to the part of sexual trafficking. I just want to. So this may include several parts because my phone freezes, so I may have to record again. So this recording may be in several parts. So I hope my phone doesn't freeze and the recording cuts off. Otherwise, I'll start recording again as part 2. So this should be part 1 if my phone freezes. So okay, I'm going to show